Well, my name's Todd Tibbitts. I'm a large animal veterinarian. I live here in Teton with my wife and daughter. She's a senior in high school. We have 140 acres here. I'm a practicing large animal veterinarian. I do primarily beef cow-calf work and I do some horse work in the summertime when I have time. So I was raised on a little beef cow ranch in Lorenzo, Idaho. One year when I was just starting college, my dad left to go to a school for 2 weeks. It was right during calving season. He left me with the cows. And when I got home, he thought I should be a veterinarian because we had kind of a scours outbreak and some problems with the weather, and he thought that I had some talent for taking care of animals. This is my 5th winter in this valley. We've got an above average snowfall, which we really need. Our state needs the snowpack so we can fill our reservoirs and have irrigation water. Monday and Tuesday at nights it was 41 below here. Down on the Teton River, one of the ranchers down there said he had 52 below, so that's pretty cold. Luckily we haven't had any wind, so. Cows have a certain ability to withstand cold climates. In the fall, they start to put on a long hair coat, and as long as they have good nutrition, they put on a good reserve of body fat that insulates their body. If it's really cold and really windy, cows need a place to get out of the wind, some kind of cover. Like down in these cottonwood trees would be a good place for cows to go. Natural, like a willow patches along stream banks are good windbreaks for cows. There's a way to build slotted fences. You don't want to block the wind completely. You want some air movement through there, but kind of the rule of thumb is 80% solid, 20% open, meaning so a slab of wood, a little bit of space, slab of wood, and that lets some airflow through there, but it'll decrease the velocity of wind for about 300 feet past that wind block, you know, based on like an 8 to 10 foot high fence. So a lot of guys do it that way. A rancher in Oregon that I did some work for, he went out and swathed some sagebrush and baled it into 4 by 4 by 8 foot bales and then stacked that up for windbreak. And of course the cows wouldn't eat the sagebrush. So it was an awesome windbreak. And I thought that was thinking outside the box. So normally for a cow, let's say at 30 or 40 degrees, a cow can get by with being fed about 2.5% of their body weight in an as-fed ration, meaning most beef cows are somewhere between 1,200 and 1,400 pounds. So that calculates out to about 30, 35 pounds a day of hay. And that's decent quality hay forage. When it gets really cold, like 20, 30, 40 below zero, then we need to up that about 20%, which means they need to start getting about 45 to 50 pounds a day of good quality forage. Ranchers that have been in the business long enough understand that you have to feed your cows in the winter. If they lose all their body fat in the winter, they don't cycle and breed back again in the spring very well. So it's a production cycle that most ranchers are very aware of, and I mean, it's the way they make their living, so they take care of their cows. Part of the way I've built my practice is I like to ride horses and I like to rope, and so I've kind of integrated that into my practice, and I'll travel out and help these guys brand calves and doctor calves, and that part I really like. I love being outside with ranchers at branding time and doctoring cattle and trying to help them figure out ways to make their business more profitable. Ranchers, in my opinion, are just salt of the earth people. They're people that they're not extravagant. They live a pretty simple lifestyle. They work hard and they earn their living. I like the seasonal change in my work. In the spring, I do a lot of calving calls. In the summer, I float horse teeth. In the fall, we preg check cows, and then the cycle kind of starts all over again. So I do C-sections every year, and sometimes that's at 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember doing a C-section once. It was 20 below, and by the time I got done with the surgery, and we were in a barn, my tools in my bucket were all frozen. The cold weather just makes it a little bit harder. There's a couple of things that make ranching hard when it gets cold. Most ranchers use equipment to feed their cows. Most types of equipment are powered by diesel, and diesel, it's hard to keep equipment running when it gets down below 20 below. And so there's some hazards with working with equipment, mainly being able to start it in the morning after it's been that cold. I know that that's a constant concern for these guys, and there's some ways that ranchers get around that. If it's going to be cold, they might feed in 2 or 3 different pastures and then let the cows into those pastures, so that way they only have to fire their equipment up once every 3 days. That's an option. Another worry for ranchers is water, because cows need fresh water every day. When it gets really cold, water starts to freeze up and access to water gets limited. Sometimes you have to be creative about ways to, most ranchers have to go out and break ice in the morning when it gets really cold. When cows calve, they get very protective of their calves. When you're out there helping a cow calve or doctoring a sick calf, you want to keep the calf between between you and the mother. One of the reasons I really enjoy my profession is I get to work with people that really care about people and animals. Well, I started out in Tremont, Utah out of vet school, and so I still have clients that I've been doing work for 30-something years, and they're kind of like part of my family. The fun thing about my job was we have 7 kids. We only have 1 left at home. The rest of them are married, but I was able to take my kids with me on calls and just expose them to agriculture and learning where their food comes from and learning how to work around animals. And one of my sons manages a big ranch over in Jackson Hole, Snake River Ranch. I think it's been good for my kids. As a father, I appreciate that in a profession.